South of Midnight is one of the best games likely to be overlooked during April's crowded release schedule, due to The Last of Us Part 2, Oblivion, and of course, we can't forget Claire Obscure Expedition 33 taking center stage as one of the most popular games in that lineup. I feel like this event caused the game to have a hard time standing out on its own. It's something that I find upsetting, though it does happen a lot. I get that not everybody is thrilled to see Xbox games buying out studios, as it leaves the impression that everything coming out afterwards will be low-effort trash, like what happens with other big publishers. They push a game like Redfall, and then shut down the studio as soon as it's released. There are clear levels of depth and passion behind South of Midnight. The game was tenderly crafted into a vivid image of the Deep South, rich with Bayou lifestyles and culture. The whole world comes to life through fascinating stop-motion style cinematic gameplay, created with the help of talented animators focused on making every detail as aesthetic and fitting as possible to fit perfectly in the style of a gothic South fantasy adventure narrative. Here the story follows Hazel, a young girl that lives with her mother Lacey, in a trailer perched precariously above a river. The story opens up with a powerful hurricane sweeping through the countryside as they both scramble to pick up their things and head out to safety to the local church, just like they've done before. But this time, something's different. Something feels wrong. While Hazel checks on their neighbors, the unthinkable happens. The storm tears through their home with Hazel's mother still inside. She chases after the trailer as it floats down the river, desperate to save her mother. But there's little that she can do about it, as it's completely out of her control. One thing leads to another and Hazel begins to see strange things. Strands of light floating around her, visions, and massive folklore creatures that couldn't possibly be real. Despite the fear and uncertainty, she sets out with one goal: to find her mother and to bring her back safely. The creative director behind South of Midnight is from the Deep South, and capturing that authentic atmosphere was priority number one. Voice acting authenticity was treated as the most important piece of the experience, and it shows.
Oh, shoot, we got 5 minutes. Let's go.
Won't be rushed if you didn't.
Don't mumble. Speak on it.
I said we wouldn't be rushed if you didn't waste all that time at the shelter.
Pack a bag, then pack your life. Hey, pack your bags, then pack
Go
your
life.
life.
Is that Hazel?
The trailer got swept downstream with Mama in it, and it ain't just about Mama.
And a train we ought to be able to rescue her mama easy.
A talking fish? Nope. Ain't no way.
The team went above and beyond to make every accent and every line delivery feel true to the world that they were building. Rooted deeply in Southern traditions, the game embraces the themes of the supernatural storytelling, and above all else, the music. The sounds of jazz and blues pulse through the adventure, overwhelming the world with a soundtrack that accompanies you as a companion more than ambience, as it fully brings the story front and center, melding with the gameplay elements, making sure you're never alone with your own thoughts. If you're familiar with The Princess and the Frog, you'll notice a lot of familiar touches, with the resemblances between the villains of both journeys. It's quite possible that there was even some influence drawn from The Princess and the Frog on that part between Ro and Dr. Facilier, as they both feel too close to ignore, adding another layer of charm to the already rich atmosphere. The game leans heavily into presentation and story above all else, which might push a lot of people away for those looking for constant action. It shows exactly how to build a world around a specific setting, doubling down on the details needed to bring it to life without cutting any corners. It's beautiful, and the soundtrack is one of the most emotionally charged soundtracks that I've heard in quite some time. Listening to the soundtrack sent a shiver down my spine and left me feeling ecstatic, layering even more story into the world through the very music as you slowly explore it. From the somber solos to the upbeat orchestral pieces, it's something that's sure to be heavily appreciated. Utilizing Unreal Engine 4, South of Midnight avoided all of the performance issue often associated with Unreal Engine 5. This is because the developers made the decision not to risk it, considering that Unreal Engine 5 is still relatively new and has a reputation of causing a lot of performance problems. They wanted the game to be perfect, and honestly, this was a great choice on their part, as the game came out with very few flaws. What really caught my eye was the use of fresh animations. Nothing felt like a reused asset, which is surprisingly rare in the gaming industry. Hazel has a variety of animations for unraveling enemies, fighting, and just idling. There's a real sense of weight behind her movements. She's not constantly giving off a sense of feeling stiff, and when she suddenly stops moving forward, it looks like she might fall over. It's those small touches that add so much to her character. For some people, the use of stop-motion elements might feel a little bit dizzying. Fortunately, you can toggle this on or off from the main menu. The same goes for many other features that you might have problems with. If there's something you do not enjoy, there's likely an option to turn it off, allowing you to tailor the experience and enjoy the game in a way that works best for you personally. The gameplay is where a lot of the issues are likely to surface. You have to understand that South of Midnight is primarily a story-driven game that is comparable to a game like Life is Strange, without the multiple choices or multiple endings. The focus has been placed heavily on building a strong narrative with rich characters, music, and atmosphere. So when it comes to gameplay, most notably the combat, there isn't much to write home about. It's functional but doesn't offer anything particularly interesting. This is because outside of the unskippable animations where Hazel squeezes through gaps that she could easily walk through, or the constant wall running, the gameplay can feel excessively repetitive, like it wasn't properly designed. The combat mainly consists of using a few skills while taking out haints. These are creatures that are the source of corruption, which need to be cleared out consecutively to progress. Compared to the story and presentation, the gameplay mainly consists of moving from point A to point B, using very basic elements you would find in any generic Ubisoft title, like hanging off of ledges and watching drawn-out animations in a world as you climb buildings, glide through the air, and so on. So if you are expecting something deeply engaging that will overwhelm you with dopamine, that's not what you'll find here. As stated with how the game handles a lot of its features, if you don't like them but you love the story, you have every opportunity to bypass the time sinks by skipping both boss fights and also normal fights to move forward swiftly. The pathing and combat really doesn't do the game any favors. I feel like if this was a movie, it would have been pretty damn good. I never heard about this game, no trailers, no recommendations, until the developers reached out to me directly to cover it. At first I saw the name Xbox, and so I bit my lip, but after checking out the trailer, I was pleasantly surprised. The game looked beautiful, like a mix between Tim Burton films and Into the Spider-Verse. My only real complaint is that it was short-lived, offering only 9 hours of playtime, and it didn't have much substance behind the gameplay. Everything outside of the story and presentation boils down to jumping over obstacles, climbing across the ledges, and acquiring upgrades for skills and powers you'll probably end up skipping over anyways. There's a big, beautiful world just waiting to be explored, but everything is so on the rails that it makes you want to cry out in frustration as you are forced down a very linear path of storytelling. It's a struggle to recommend it or not. I genuinely love this game, but I also feel like there could have been a lot more to it. Perhaps they were crunched and didn't have enough time to properly flesh out all the combat and rewards. There's a lot of things that makes it tough to give it a yes or no, so it really comes down to what you're looking for. The story was enough to keep me playing through to the end. Though I did get frustrated with some of the drawn-out elements, I don't think the game was as bad as most people would have you think. Just understand that it's a fantastic story, with very little engaging elements outside of it.